So Steve, let's talk a little bit about the business side of the hair transplant industry, because essentially, even though it's a surgical procedure, you're essentially buying a product. So let's talk a little bit about how some of the business is done in the hair transplant industry, because I think that if you know what sort of business your clinic or your hair restoration office is going to be doing, that correlates pretty well to what sort of result you're going to get.
Yeah, great point, Lance. What I learned the hard way in this industry is that I always bought into some of the hype, some of the top doctors that were featured or advertised or marketed that were maybe the better looking guys. When it's an emotional decision, it's the wrong decision for the most part. So we're here to help you do your research. And from a business standpoint, all I can tell you, once you've chosen a clinic, a doctor, a staff that are dedicated only to doing hair transplants. Now let me take a step back. There's a lot of marketing and advertising out there in different ways online that are going to try to pull you in, and you're not fitting the model that I actually introduced Lance to many years ago. One is a clinic that is dedicated only to doing hair restoration, hair transplants. A clinic that has a full-time staff. A clinic that if you research that clinic and see that particular doctor's work, you need to make sure that that doctor is doing your procedure. So that seems kind of easy. Anybody can do that. It takes 5 minutes to choose one of those clinics. However, you'd be surprised. There's clinics out there that buy keywords online for low-cost hair transplants. This industry wants you to think that this is like buying tires for your car. You know that's not true. It's not. So why would you go to Minnesota to have a hair transplant when you go right around the corner? Or why would you go to Minnesota to have tires put on your car when you go around the corner and have tires changed on your car here? It makes no sense. Hair is very different. It's different because it's 50% science, it's 50% art. So the science part is, how is that clinic set up? Is that a full-time clinic? Or are you buying into some pay-per-click that says, a $2 graft or hey, travel here and get 1,000 free grafts? What you're buying into as a businessman, almost like the old days of the stockbroker, that are trying to collect the patients, put them on a certain week of the month, fly you into a city, and hire the doctor who takes the least amount of money for the week and has some fun while he's kind of on a part-time vacation. This stuff happens. So a lot of you out there that are watching these videos are not going to fall for that. But the different business models are scary in my opinion. And I'm sure this goes to say for other types of cosmetics and other types of plastics. But what you want to make sure of is that your doctor guarantees his work. That your doctor can show you many different before and after photos and videos of his work, not the company's work. These FUE machines that we all have in our clinics, they supply these doctors with a marketing package, and everybody's using the same photos. Well, what doctor really did that work?
Yeah, that's a good point, because a company cannot do a hair transplant. However, a company can own the rights to patient photos. And I remember back in 2012 when I was starting to research this, all of a sudden I started seeing the same photos for different hair transplant clinics I looked at. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, who did this work?
Exactly. That's a machine that you and I talked about, that the machine company wants to sell machines. So that machine may or not be suitable for the doctor that actually does full-time hair transplants. Full-time hair transplants, a specialist, is very touchy-feely, very artsy. It's all about being a good surgeon and a good hair transplant surgeon. The machine is a tool, but the sales company of the machine wants to sell machines to everybody. So they come out with 5 or 6 of their best results, they put them in a marketing package, and they say to a plastic surgeon or a cosmetic guy that hasn't done a hair transplant since his residency 20 years ago, guess what? Here's a business inside a business. For $100,000, buy our machine and you'll get a couple surgeries a month. You don't want to be that patient that's having that procedure, trust me.
Yeah, so as a way to help you guys find out the best possible surgeon for your particular case, whatever it may be, whether you have hair loss in the front, whether you're a class 7, you have to be wary about how you look for and research hair transplants. And one thing I've always said is, Steve has been an excellent resource for me when I got started on this follicular journey. And it's not just because, he wants me to walk in and have surgery with him the next day. No, the first thing that Steve told me was, you know, if this is where you live, here are some other doctors in this geographical area who could do the work that you want to have done. So it's a very inclusive, and it's an insular community. Steve's been around this for a very long time. He's worked with a lot of great doctors. So even though, yes, he does work for Dr. McGrath's practice, Dr. McGrath is not the only doctor who Steve will recommend someone to, depending on where they live and what sort of work they need done.
Yeah, and that's, people think I'm crazy. I talk to guys, Lance, on the phone, and now on our iPhones or Androids, we have a little stopwatch on there that shows how long we've been on the call. And people say, well, hold on a second, I've been talking to you for 39 minutes, and you're sending me to some doctor in California that you don't get anything for that. And it's not about that. It's what we're trying to do here. Lance, other video partners that I have, and doctors that are board certified, directors of the American Board of Hair Restoration Surgeons, are sick and tired of these wannabe clinics and these business models that just feel that this is the easiest thing to do in the world, just buy a machine if you're a dentist or psychiatrist to do hair transplants. I'm trying to help this industry get out of the dark days of the black cloud of the hair plugs. And every time I think we get out from under that black cloud, along comes something else. So I want to make sure, and it's my pleasure to help you find a good doctor, knowing that, like Lance, looking back on it, wow, look at that. That was the right choice. That makes me feel good. I like that. I like helping people.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to do here with this channel.